Alright guys, so a lot of you have been asking me to do a settings video, and I did one a long time ago, but these are my updated settings. I think these settings are quite effective for drag scoping and spamming together, or just sniping in general. I know a lot of people do like to snipe on high, but drag scoping is more effective on low as you have more control over it. I'll go over in depth with the other settings that affect sniping, but the main one obviously is the first person sensitivity. I have mine set to 6 bars high. If you have this setting all maxed out, your aim for drag scoping won't be all that precise, as the movement is way too quick, as you can see, but if that works for you, it's all good. For me personally, I prefer low, and I just like sniping on that. So one of the most important settings is the look dead zone, which I think most people do underestimate. You always want to have this all the way down to snipe better. This one's kind of hard to explain, but GTA is obviously not, a classic first-person shooting game like COD or Battlefield and all that, so having your dead zones all the way down gives you a more, I'd say, smoother experience, especially for sniping. I'm gonna max the setting out, and you can see here that when I aim, I kind of have to move my stick all the way to the right or left before I even get any sort of movement or aim. So reducing the dead zone reduces that very tiny bit of lag and gives you, a more precise aim. To be honest, it's really not that noticeable, but trust me, it does make a difference, because it's the time your character takes to lock down on anyone. So I highly recommend your dead zones to be at the lowest. So these are my camera settings. You always want to have your first person field of view maxed out. The lower it is, the less you see. The higher it is, the more you see. Have your head bobbing off as well. If you run in first person with or without a weapon, you'll notice that your camera is a little shaky like this, and it's just a bit annoying, at least for me, so I have that off, and you'll notice that it's more steady that way. Have your combat roll off, because if you have this on, this is what happens. Yeah, I feel dizzy just looking at that, so that needs to be off, and then you can roll normally without the whole map upside down. And then obviously the in-game depth of field, that should always be off for sniping. If it's on, it's all blurry, making it harder for you to see your target, so always keep this off for, long range sniping. The render on PS4 is anyway kind of crappy at times, so having this setting on makes it even more harder. But for editing or getting some cool shots on the Rockstar editor, this is a pretty neat feature, and you should turn it on if you're into that scene. But for sniping, it should always be off. So for spamming rockets or grenade launchers, or even your heavy sniper, if you're into that, this is the go-to setting for spam, the look acceleration. It's pretty simple. The lower your acceleration is, the faster you can spam, as it doesn't mess with your aim. If you have this setting all maxed out, this is what your spam's gonna look like. And that's awful. The aiming is all over the place, so you want to have that set to as low as possible. Spamming in general requires a bit of practice, though there is another way to spam too, which doesn't require you to switch weapons, but it takes a while to get used to. This one is the simple method where you switch to your sticky bomb and back to the weapon that you're spamming with, but it's just all too fast. I've seen people spamming like their fingers are on crack or something, but for me, sometimes I do get stuck on the freaking sticky bomb. It's just practice. So if spamming is all you do and you don't snipe, 0 is the way to go. Mine is set to just 1 bar, and it's just 1 bar higher, but it actually makes a difference. If it's set to 0, as you can see here, the movement is way too slow when I try to snipe, so having that one little bump actually makes it easier to move, and also that's very low for spamming, so it both works well together. and some of you have asked me why I don't use a shotgun or why I have that slot empty. It's just so that, you know, for spamming or anything, I don't accidentally switch to a shotgun or anything. I know a lot of you love your explosive shotguns, but I prefer without it, just to have a more cleaner weapon wheel, you know. So yeah, so these are my settings. At the end of the day, you just have to tweak around with the settings and see what suits your style of play best. But I hope this did help you guys. Here are a few of my drag scopes using these settings, so I hope you guys enjoy watching it.